Hey, what's up? It's me, Doc. Hey, this is the video on the MV8800. Now, I know you're going to love this machine. We just got one from Tokyo, brought it back here. We're doing a video on it. I want you to check it out. Cool machine. It does mastering. It's got a CD in it. Look, I can talk forever. Let's show you how it's done. Yeah. So I'm hanging out playing my bass here. Well, check it out. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to check out the front and the back of this great machine. We're going to see how all these buttons work, where to put the cables in, get the right power source. It's got to be good. You know, plug them to the wall, make sure it's a good, solid connection. Get the right cables. That's important. You want to have a good connection so there's no pops, no clicks, no little noise in the background. You want it to sound good. So look, I'll check you on a few. Okay, now I'm going to check out some of these knobs here. Right at the top we have our level sensitivity knobs. So you can turn our volume up or down. In this case, it's from line to mic, line to mic. So we can turn it, these are left and right. So this way is our line in. You turn it here, that's our mic in. Right here is for our headphones. Got my headset right here. Now here I got my headset. I'm plugged into my jack in the back of my MV8800. This is my headphone volume level, minimum to maximum. Okay, so here we've got our MV8800. We've got it turned on. We've got a song loaded in. One of the demos that comes with our MV8800. Okay, so here we have our sensitivity level for mic and line. I want you to notice something here. I turn these up, we get this noise. Hear that noise? That's the mic line noise there going in. You don't want this up when your machine is on. I can start playing a track that's in here, the demo, and that noise is going to be right on top of that sound. Now I'll go back to here and I'll, let's see, turn this solo off I have here. And hear that noise? That noise is still in the track. And the track is moving right there. I'll turn the audio down somewhat. You hear that noise, right? Stop it. Still hear it. What's important to do is to turn these to line. And we have no more noise. See that? And now I'll play it back. Press play. We have no more noise from our sensitivity level. So it's important to make sure that when you get your setup going on, keep these off. When you got a microphone in, you can go back to raising the sensitivity for your mic level. Now this, of course, is for your phono. Put your headset in, you got the minimum and you got the maximum. Okay, here we've got our sample button. Now when I press this button, it lights up and our sample screen comes up. As you can see right here, here's our sample screen. And the ability to sample, so we can get into our sample mode by pressing our sample button right there. To leave that mode, what I normally do is I go to exit. Once I press exit, sampling's off. Next we have our import button. This is our import button right there. When that's lit, it allows us to import files into our MV8800. We can select the drive from one of our F buttons here. Drive. We've got the view, mark on and off, preview and import. We can press this button and select a drive you want to import some files from. And of course, when we don't want to do that, we want to get out of it, we can cancel the operation by pressing exit. See it? Pressing it twice went back to the main screen I was at before, and now the import button is off. Now here in our main view, we've got our menu button. Now the menu button is lit when there happens to be a menu corresponding to that particular screen or page that we're on. If I click the menu button here, we get a list of choices that we have in this particular menu for our sequence. So we're in this song mode. This menu are the choices of pages we can go to for the song mode. Now once we're in that song mode, we may want to go to menu, then leave menu. We press menu again, the button is lit again, letting us know there is a menu available, but now we're back to the screen. Now, we have our screen, and below our screen we have other options. And so the F1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 buttons are used to go to those options, those particular screens that you may want to open up to. For example, we're in song mode, we want to go to song menu. And here we'll have several options, whether it's song parameters, syncing, create new song, select song, delete song, copy, and so forth. We can also go to sync. Now, whenever you want to leave these pages, we can go to exit again. We're back. See that? So I can press maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. We only have these, right? See, that's all we have so far. So I'll press exit. I can press this again, exit that. I can press here, exit that, exit that. We're back to our main screen. Okay, so right here, this little disc sign right here, and this little light here, lights up when we have a disc inside. So you have a CD inside, and we're going to assemble from a CD or something. Well, that CD, when that CD's in operation, we'll see that light up. Below that, we have MIDI. And so we have a keyboard and a MIDI keyboard in, and we're playing some MIDI keyboard or MIDI instruments into our MV8800, we will see the MIDI signal here letting us know that we are doing MIDI, and MIDI information is traveling through our machine. Now we also have that right below that. Right over here, we have our undo redo. You can tap it once to undo something, and tap it again to redo it back the way it was. We have our shutdown button. We want to shut down our system and say, okay, we want to stop and say what we have. And this is very important to know. We must shut down our system and make sure when we do shut it down that we have everything saved and make sure that we do not damage the drive at all. So it's important to follow the shutdown procedure that's in your manual and that we covered earlier in this video. And of course here we have our master volume. And that's pretty cool like that. Okay, next we've got our effects. Now here's our effects button right here. And we press this button and it lights up and our effects show up in the screen. Let's look at the screen right here. Those are our effects right there. Now we can move the cursor up and down. Go to our cursor right here. I can move up or down. And see how that affects the screen here. You'll see we can select our effects. We can select our MF effects, cursor down one time, we got the delay which is there, or our reverb. See that? And of course we have our screen. We can go to F4 and we can turn it off or on. We can go to F3. We have a library of effects. So this menu comes up right here and we can select our effects right here. We can also use this. Okay, that stays there. And we can scroll back down. And we've got delay. We've got reverb, see? And this is all in this demo song that you have on our MV8800. Now, these three knobs correspond to the three knobs you see on the effects. And those knobs appear here as 1, 2, 3 for that effect. If we go to this effect, it's 1, 2, 3. We go to this effect here, it's 1, 2, 3. So the knobs correspond. Now, I got the song going on here. We'll play out press the song here. And the song's moving along right here. Now I got my effects on the vocals. Turn some effects up here. So you repeat the delay? I'm not going to do this better if I press stop, let's say, and I go to exit. And you'll hear it much better. I'll move my cursor here and I'll turn it to just solo. I'll move back to the start of the track, which is right there. And then I can press my effects button again. Now we see the effects. I'll press play.
I turn and notice you
and now it's soloed.
burning it up. Can't help but feel myself getting caught up.
Feedback.
I wanna let you go, tell me you're getting closer to you with or without a fight.
Turn it off. And so that's how these three knobs work. They're called C1, C2, and C3. And these knobs are for our effects section, which is right here. Okay, next, we've got our song and we've got our mixer section. We have these 8 faders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're used in conjunction with the song for mixing our tracks up. For example, we can press our mix button, and once we do, we get a screen here where we see our mix. I can press audio tracks to mix the audio tracks. I can press play, or I can mix parts 1 through 8, and turn the drums down. Here, watch this. Drums are down. Drums are up. Drums are down. And see the corresponding fader move up and down. Go back to audio. I can change the resample. The bass line. See the bass line? Pull it down. I can go back here. Turn the pad down. Next I can turn down. Start moving my tracks around. Or turn them all down if I want to. See? And we can adjust these tracks in our mix. I can go to like part 8 here. I'm going to bring my drums down some. So we can adjust certain levels of any part we'd like to adjust in this mix. These are our 16 velocity pads. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 by 4, 16 pads. Right here we have our pad bank. We'll press that key and we select the bank that we want to use for our pads. Next we have quick edit. Clipboard. This button will hold the memory of a sound we hit in our velocity pads. For example, I've got a sound right here on pad number 10, and there's no sound here on 9. I can put the memory of the data from that particular pad and put it here on pad 9. Here's how it works. I'll hold this button down, this pad down, then I'll press clipboard. Now clipboard will light up. See the little light there lights up? Once that light lights up, then I have the sound here. See, the sound's right there. Now to move the sound, I can just press this here, let that sound there, and now it's there at 9 and 10. See that? Before that was empty. I put the sound there. Now if I want to get rid of that sound in the clipboard, and just clean the clipboard out, I can either turn the power off, or we can load a new project, or what you can do is you can press delete, and we'll press delete and clipboard at the same time. And you'll see on the screen, it'll say delete clipboard. We can press no for F1 and F5 is yes. So I'll press yes, and now we can see the clipboard light is off. Okay, now we use our delete button a little bit there, right? Just use delete to actually delete any material you want from a particular phrase or whatever. You can delete whatever. Hold the pad down, press delete, strike the pad, delete that particular sound from a sequence. You may have a rim shot somewhere, whatever, just delete out the whole sequence. Hold the sound down, press delete, it's gone from that sequence. We can press the. Okay, now, we also have roll. See that? I can press down this roll button and I hit the sound. So we can actually make a roll out of something. That all depends on what our quantized value is set at for that particular song or pattern. We also have the hold button, which is right here. Now the hold button will hold a particular sound. Say you have a sound like, I move my finger, the sound stops playing. Now you may want to have that sound play continuously. Maybe editing it or something, you may want to have that sound play continuously so you can get to judge whether it fits the track or just to hear how it sounds. So what we do, we can hold the sound and we press the hold button. The hold button lights up. I remove my finger and it's playing. See that? Now hit the hold button and it cuts off. That's how it works. Now next we have our numeric keys. Now these keys are used to input data into a sequence. For example, maybe want to put some, change a name. So you got our alphabetical characters. You may want to input numbers. So you have numeric parameter values to put in. You can also put the value of anything. Let's say you want to put the value of -10 or whatever. You can use these keys for putting in information. And this is our enter. Once you put the data in, we'll press enter, and the data is in our particular parameter. Next we have our cursor section. Now these keys here do basically the same thing. Now this moves the cursor up and down, or from left to right. We can decrease the value or increase the value. And we have our value knob right here. Also have our shift button, where we can shift and use it with a particular parameter. Maybe shift and use our cursor left and right when you want to show the amplitude, or actually the length of a particular sample, and we're in sample mode. Here we have our transport section. We can press here and play our sequence. We can stop it. We can go back to the top. We can record in that particular sequence. Set to record. We can go by steps. Here at the bottom part, see, we can place a marker. We can jump to where we want to jump to in that sequence. We can go by measures in that particular sequence. Even if we're in a song, we can do the same thing. We just take our back to the beginning and say, we want to hear these vocals again. What's going on here in these vocals? Are they right? We can press play. I don't want to hit it back in. Go back by another measure. Play it again. So we can go anywhere in our song that we'd like to using our transport section. Whether we want to record, play, stop, go back at the top, mark a particular section off, or just go by steps. If you've got a little increment, maybe we want to go by measures. Not measures, but little quarter notes. Each quarter note up we can do. And we can set those parameters for it in our transport section. And next we have our preview button. This is to and from. And those are set so that in case I want to go someplace a little closer or a little further away from where I actually set my song to start from, while using, let's say, my measure button, for example. I may want to go one measure over here, and I'll say, well, I want to preview a little bit prior. And you can set the length of this preview in our global section. Now we would press System, and then we would press Enter. But first we got to make sure we're in global. And in global we can set that parameter. Then we see global, as you can see right there. Our first option is global, which is 1. Then I'll press Enter, and now we can set that parameter for preview. Preview is our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 choice down. I'll move the cursor down button. Then here, now I have a 1 second preview length. I can change it to, let's say, 4 seconds. Or 3 seconds, whatever I want to change it to. There's a preview length that we can change right here. And I can press preview. That was 3 seconds that time. I can go back, let's say 4 seconds. And it keeps going back further 4 seconds from where the point I want to start from. This is a preview of the section prior to where I want to start. Or I can go to the from. That's the 4 seconds from. So the to and the from for the preview. Now next we have our loop button. Now I can press this loop button right here. It comes on. Press again, it's off. Now if I have a sequence to say it's 2 bars. I'm playing my sequence, it's going, it stops. Now to loop this sequence, which is a pattern or loop a song, we want to make sure we put this loop button on. Now I'll put it on now, and I'll press play. Well, since it's a 2 bar, it's looping. See, that's going to play over and over again until I decide to stop it. I can press the loop button, see, and it stops looping. Now next we have our loop button. Now I can press this loop button right here. It comes on. Press again, it's off. Now if I have a sequence to say it's 2 bars. I'm playing my sequence, it's going, it stops. Now to loop this sequence, which is a pattern or loop a song, we want to make sure we put this loop button on. Now I'll put it on now, and I'll press play. Well, since it's a 2 bar, it's looping. See, that's going to play over and over again until I decide to stop it. I can press the loop button, see, and it stops looping. Now here am I in my sequence. So I'll press my measure button to go back to the top of the sequence. And I've got auto punch already pressed. I'm going to press record now. Once you press record, my metronome goes off, of course, and now we see the pattern record parameters that we can actually edit. Now here I've got 2 measures as my count in, and these are just defaults that we have. And I'll make my auto punching will start on bar 1, and I want to come out on bar 2. I want the metronome mode, this click, click, click is called a metronome, to run in sync with the track. Gives our tempo. And I'm recording in 16th notes is my grid. So that's the maximum there, okay? So next, I can set it here. This is my punch in. So you auto punch right here, in and out. I'll set that for 2. Normally it's 1 as a default. In this case I want it to be 2. I can close the screen if I'd like to. And next I can record in that track. Now I've selected the track right there to record to, which you see is MIDI track 8. Okay, now I've got the auto punch button selected. It's lit. Next, I want to record that 1 bar piece. Now I got 2 measures in the front as a count off. So I'll press record, and I'll press play. Just work. Because we got to make sure we're back at the top. Make sure the top of your sequence always. That's how this function works. You must be at the top. Now I'll press record. Now I press play. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now see what happened? The record light was lit during the recording section, and then it started blinking after recorded. So record that 1 measure in, and we're back where we started from. Now play that back. I want to loop it. And that's how record auto punch works. And of course, loop. And we also have our quick set button. This button selects the current measure as the beginning of a loop. So we can start somewhere in a song and say the 2nd bar. And say, okay, we're at the 2nd bar. That's the beginning of our loop. And I'll start the loop from there. So you can select where the loop will start from. using our quick set button. Okay, now here on the front of our MV8800, you're going to see we've got a CD. See? Our CD drive is right there. It's one of our Sample King CDs. Off the record, I guess. Yep, that's it. And we put it in. And sometimes we want to take samples from a CD or something. And that's how we do it. Okay, here's the back of our MV8800. Obviously, you can see the name right there, of course. So look, we can plug a mouse in. We can use a mouse. A little mouse, you know, touchpad. A little rollable on the back. Here's our mouse cable. We can plug a mouse in. Bam, got a mouse in there. Here we go. We plug a little mouse cable right here into there, and our mouse is set up. Now also, if you got a VGA monitor, you know, a little computer monitor, if you don't know, and you take it, here's my VGA cable right there, and you plug it right in here, you could see the output of our MV800 on a computer screen and use our mouse as our cursor, which is real cool. Now next to that we got our USB port. We can plug our USB connector right there. That's really cool. Now if you got a foot switch, you hook the foot switch right here, put your foot switch in, bam! You can click and cut off certain, like, you know, auto punch in if you got one, if you want to use one. We also have our digital inputs. Here we just got one, which comes with A, because you got to pay for B. Also, we've got a headphone set jack. Let me get my headphones out. I got them over here somewhere. Here they go, right here. Got my headset. See? Got my, I like to use a Bose. I like to use a nice, really soft headsets. Nice clean sound. I plug it in right there. That's really cool. Get your headsets, you're good to go. Next, I like to hook up the output. Now our main master routes are tip ring sleeve. Got those right here. I plug one in there, one in here, and I'm good to go. Other end goes to my, well, I like to use speakers. So I use these powered monitors. They're really great. We also have our mic in, so our microphone in, tip ring sleeve, or line in. So this is right and this is left. I can get a microphone jack, hook it up, and plug it in. Let me get that. Okay, I got a microphone. Pulled out one of my old standards here, as you can see right there. We need a 3. Okay, that's good. XLR, I'm going to plug that in. Got my XLR cable jack right here. Get my mic lined up, plug it in, I'm good to go. And the other end of it is right here. Keep my cables labeled. Put it right in there. I got me a mic line and I'm ready to get busy. Now, this mic line that we have plugged up in here is used for a microphone. Or, if I just have a cable input from a, let's say, another drum machine or from some other source, I can just plug it directly in, right in there, and hook up to a line input. Put my mic down. Now, for the SPDIF, which has to go here, you need a SPDIF cable. It's like an RCA cable, it's actually SPDIF. Connect it right there, and we're in. Now, whenever you got turntables, and what they do here on this MV800, they put this little clip in here, sort of protect you from shorting out or having a bad cable in there. See that? I just pulled that off of there. That's a little clip that's right in there in our phono section. So, what I do is I plug my cables in. For turntables, you want to get some turntable samples, pop them in there, you can do that. Get the other end. I'll use the yellow in this case. Bam. See that? And we're ready to go on the back of it. Now one more thing, I want to plug some MIDI cables in. Let's do that. Next we need a MIDI cable. Now MIDI cables usually plug a MIDI device up with a keyboard or something, so you can trigger the sounds in our MV8800. Got Got a MIDI out. That means you can send MIDI data out. We have an A and a B out. So when sending data out, make sure you select what you're going to use, either A or B. I always start with A first, though. Now, if we're taking MIDI data in and we're playing a MIDI keyboard directly into our MV8800, we go MIDI in. Get the MIDI cable from that keyboard and MIDI in. So we got a MIDI in and a MIDI out. Now the last thing I want to do here right now is set up my machine, is to put in a power source. Make sure you got the right power source, a good solid cable. Get the one that comes with the machine. Plug it in, and we're ready to go. Okay, here we got our MV8800 by Roland. I'm going to put my power cord on. Now I'm going to turn the power on. Now she's starting right up. Extracting program. And we're going to start up our MV8800 production studio. Now before we do anything in our lesson plan, the first thing we're going to do is teach you about the shutdown of the machine. This way you won't lose data, you won't damage the contents of the hard drive. First, we'll let it load up. Okay, the first thing we do before we shut down, make sure we've got our data. We want to save our data. We'll press shutdown first. It'll say, are you sure? And you'll be able to press F1 for no and F5 for yes. I'll press yes. Then it asks, save current project before shutdown. I'll say no in this case. Now the machine will process and get ready to shut down the hard drive. Now it's processed the data. And now we can turn off our MV8800. Okay, now I'm going to try and do some sampling. Now we got our monitor up here, and I'm going to press, I'm going to press mixer. Now here in mixer, we should go to aux phrase in, which is F4, and we're there. As we can see here, right here, we have our levels going up and down. See that? That's really, I can go louder. Hello, 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 hello. Talk real loud, and then we got some real heavy levels. And we use our fader number 8. That's right, fader number 8 controls that. So I pull 8 down, see the level get lower, higher, yes, 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 it's too loud. And you can hear the speakers better now. And I could say this, hello. So I'm going to keep it around 100. That's the best spot to keep it at, right around 100 right there. Okay, now once I've got this level set, I know what I want to do, and I'm not adding any effects or anything on this sample. I'm going to sample my voice first through a microphone. I'm going to press sampling. Now here in sampling, we can see it here. See the meters better? We can see the clip. We can see the dBs, -4 to -24, -48. That's left and right. Okay, so now we can see the signal coming in, and I'm only plugged into the left input on my microphone in. It's the mic and line in, the analog inputs. I'm plugged into the mic line in. And I've turned up the sensitivity level only on the line I'm plugged in at. So I'll turn up only the left one. Right. So you can see my mic level's up there, and it's good. Now, I'll move the cursor up here, and we could sample in stereo and mono. It's right there. Stereo and mono. So in this case, I'm just going to do the microphone, and it'll be just mono. Move the cursor over again. We have our input select. Now if I'm doing stereo, I want analog left and right. But in this case, I'm just going to use my microphone. So it's only going to just be one thing. This analog left. Option analog. See that? Analog left and right. and analog. And you can see when we see analog, right here it says analog right there. You'll see two lines going down for mono. That means these two outputs, if I have two outputs, will go straight to mono. As you can see here in the meter section, we only see the left side, not the right. Now if we got some red right there, we want to reset it by pressing the reset, which is F3. There's no more red dot there, see that? We want to make sure we have the right peak level for any sample that we're going to take in. Now next, I'm going to move over here, and now we have left, right. You see both of these lines going up and down, or those meters in the meter and the volume meter, and here we have both going up and down, and we're in auxiliary left. We want to record there. Now the next we have here is the manual trigger. This section is our trigger start section right here. Move the cursor over and down. And now we're in the start trigger manual. This means I can press the start button, which in this case would be F5. I would hit that start button and I'm good to go. That means we'll start sampling. Now, I can also start trigger with level. Now that means that a certain level coming in this V right here, I can set the level I want. Right now the level is -4. I have to go above -4. And see these two little dots right, these two little triangles on each side of the left and right volume meters. If I go past that, it'll start sampling. If I don't, it won't sample. And this is kind of really cool to use if you got a record, let's say you're going to put on, and you know, you got some low levels before it comes on, and you want to sample after the beginning. Well, once the level hits a certain point, you know what it does? It starts to sample. Or if you're using a vocalist and you want to record in sync, well, when she starts to sing, that's when it starts sampling. It'll save sample time, obviously. Now we can adjust this threshold level, we'll call this, by going to our level right there. We'll go to -4, -8, -12, 18, 24. See that right there? And now if we bust through 24, we pass this threshold level, it starts to sample. That's pretty cool. We can also set up a pre-sample time. Now what this does is, like, if we get a level, let's say, and we're doing a record, and we don't want to miss that first hit. So what will happen is that the sampler will get a little bit before the sample starts to sample. So it's a pre-sampling time. And we can set this time from 0 to 1,000 milliseconds. Let me watch this and turn it up. See, there's 1,000. We can go from 0 to 1,000 milliseconds. So that means before the sample starts to really grab it, it comes on a little bit earlier, which is really cool. Next, we have pad. You can hit a pad and actually trigger the sample section. So let's say you're doing something and you're not going to hit the button, you want to hit a pad. Maybe that's faster for you. We can hit a pad and trigger the sampling section. It's really cool. Next we have play. You can play a sequence. If you have a sequence going on and you got this beat pumping and you want to maybe have some guitar player play to the beat. Play the sequence, it starts sampling, the guitar player is being sampled into your MV 8800. It's a cool way to keep him in sync, the singer, guitar player, or bass player, anybody, so you can hear the sequence and you're sampling them at the same time. Now next, we have the stop trigger section. Now, I'm having it manual right now. These are beats and that's time. Now here in the stop trigger section, we can press the F5 key and that will stop it. So we can press F5 to start, and once you start, and we've got a sample going on, we want to stop it, we press F5. Next we have stop beat. Stop trigger using beat. So we can set the amount of beats. Now a beat is 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 measures. That would be 8 beats. So we can set it for beats. We can also set it for time. As you can see, it's time right there. We can say, well, right now it's set for 2 seconds. We can say, well, we want to set it for more than that. We may want to take, let's see, my machine's maxed out. I put extra memory in here. I can do 100 minutes of sampling. That's pretty good. It's a lot of sample time. Or I can just do 2. Move the cursor over here. I can do 2. Or 5, or as many seconds as I want. So it's kind of cool. Very cool to use. Easy to use, actually. And allows you to sample at the length you want to sample at. Now here we have auto divide. That's right there, that's auto divide. Now what this does, this is really cool. You can actually, got it on now, and now we see this time gap going on. Let's say someone's singing or something, and they stop singing. Then they start singing again. Okay, they may sing within a verse, they may stop, then start next part, next phrase. Well, we don't want to use too much sample time. So we can create a gap between each part that's sung or each part that's played by a guitar player or whatever. This way we save sample time and we have these individual samples we could use. Next, we have auto emphasis. Now what this does, this emphasizes the higher frequencies in a sample you could be taking. I don't know, you could be doing flute, you could be doing something that needs higher frequencies. You want to take everything that's totally in the entire sample range. You may want to take the upper register of that range. And what auto emphasis does, auto emphasis allows you to get the higher range of the sample that you want to record. Next we have auto normalize. What happens here is that the MV8800 will normalize the sample to the maximum level. That means you took your sample in, it'll check it and make sure it's as loud as possible. That's really great. Well look, now I got my mic back on, here's my mic in front of me, and it's time for me to take a sample. So, I'll move the cursor over. We're going to go to manual here, and next, I'm going to press start, and I'll start sampling. Okay, now we're sampling, and we're sampling Doc right here on the mic, talking about the MV8800. Well, now I'll press stop, which will be F5. Now it's processing, and we see this sample. See the sample right there. So now we have our sample. Now what we have here is a waveform. We have the ability to move this waveform around and edit this waveform. A start point, an end point. We have a BPM here, and this is the original key, the loop, and the truncate and normalize. Now I've got my sample here. I can actually name my sample. I can retry the sample, do it again. I can quick assign it someplace. Like assign it to some sort of audio phrase, or assign it to a track. I can preview the sample. Let's preview it. Okay, now we're sampling, and we're sampling Doc right here on the mic, talking about the MV8800. Well, now I'll press it. See? And I press preview. Now if I like it, I can press OK, which is F5. Now retry means it's going to do it over again. Now in this case, I'm going to do it over again, except I want to record an instrument right now. I'm going to pull my bass guitar out, play a little bass line, and see what happens. But before I do, I want to get rid of this sample so it doesn't stay in my memory. So I'll press F1. That's retry. Are you sure? I have F1 to say no, F5 to say yes. And of course I'm sure I'll say yes. Press F5. Now I'm back where I started from. Let me get my bass guitar out. Okay, got my bass guitar. I'm gonna practice a little bass line. Okay, as you can see here, we've got these red dots, red dashes right here on our VU meter right there. Well, we want to press F3 to reset. There you go, they're gone. Get my level. Okay, well, now I want to record that. I'm in mono. I've got analog left on. We're going to do a start trigger, which is going to be manual, and a stop trigger, which will be manual also. As you can see, I also have auto normalize checked. Well, I'll press start, then I'll sample. Stop. I stop sampling. And now we have our full sample right there. Now that we've got our sample, the next thing we want to do right here is we like to at least cut it up. You know, everything going. Well, we have these two little points. We have a little green line here and a little red line right there, the beginning and the end. Well, that's the start point, that's the end point. And I'll start right here from the end start point right there. I can move my cursor over 2 spaces. I'll move it, and that green line is not moving at all. So I'll move over again 1 more space, and see the green line's moving now. You can see it moving from the left to the right, but it's moving in small increments. I want to use a larger increment. Look at this. Now I'm moving, look at that, way over. See this? We're moving all the way to get that close to the sample. But is that the top? We can't tell. We need to zoom in. We'll press Shift, and then we'll press the zoom cursor, the plus sign side. See that? That's 2 times. And see, every time I actually hit it, you'll see right here that this little bar gets in there, giving us the area we're trying to get close to. I'll press Shift, and I'll press the plus sign, which is the right cursor key again, and now I'm zoomed in here. I can get a better view of where I want to truncate this sample at. Right there looks pretty good to me. And to preview it, I'll just hit the preview button, which is F4. I can hear the beginning of it. Right there. That's good. I hit it. That's right there. That's pretty good. Now, I'll press the Shift, and I'll press the left cursor with the minus sign next to it to zoom back out. Well, now we have the beginning. We need to get the end of the sample so we know what's going on here. So we move the cursor down to the end point. See? Now I'm hearing the end point. You can see it right there. And next I'll turn my data wheel. Of course, we got close. We're pretty close here, but we can't really tell. We need to zoom in and get closer so we can see exactly where we're going to edit this sample at. We'll press Shift, and I'll press the Zoom plus key, and now we can see where we are. I'm kind of close. I'm really zooming in right here, but I'm moving up too fast. So I'll move the digit over by 1, 2. See that? And now we're moving slower. I want to get right on it here. I think that's the end. Sounds good. So I've got the beginning and got the end. I'll zoom back out now. Press Shift, the left cursor button. We've zoomed out. And now we can see the entire sample. Next. As you can see here, we have several options, 2 options actually. We can truncate or normalize the sample. Well, obviously I normalized the sample already when I did my auto normalize when I sampled this baseline. So that's pretty good right there. Next, I can also truncate the sample. Now truncation means that we're going to cut the parts off that we don't want. These are parts that I brought the beginning in, the end in. Those parts are still there, and they're taking up sample memory. We want to get rid of those parts. The parts we don't need, we get rid of. So if we go to truncate and press right there, the little button, we're good to go. We press our increase or decrease button, we're in. Or turn that wheel. See? And we can truncate the sample when we say you want to truncate. We can also do, as you can see here, we can change the original key. That means if you're playing the piano and you want to trigger this sound, or we're playing our MV 8800, and that particular pad is set to key C4, which is actually 60. C4 to 60. The 60th key on the piano. And that would be a MIDI note designation. Hit that pad and it matches that note. That sample will play at the right pitch it's playing at right now, which is this one. But if it goes to C sharp or D sharp, it's going to be a little higher. If it goes to E, it's even higher. F higher than that. That'd be F4. But if it goes to, let's say, B flat 3 or B flat 3, or let's say D3, that means it's going to be lower. So below that C is a lower pitch, and above it's a higher pitch. So we're going to make sure we actually put this sample on a pad, and that pad's going to be C60. Good. Now also below that we have loop off and loop on. Right there. Now I can put loop on and hear the sound. Loop, press preview. See, so it jumped right in there. So it's not loopable actually. You need to find out where the right loop would be. But right now, we sort of like the way it is. So next, if I want to get rid of a part, we'll say, and we want to maybe see if something else will work better. Okay, I'll go to here, back to the top. I could change that. I'll check this out. So, let's say I take the end. I'll move the end all the way up and make it just a 1. See this? We're moving it away. Look at this. We're moving that end point to right about the beginning here of the second time I play the bass line. Of course, I'll press Shift and my plus cursor sign to move in closer. So I want to make sure I don't get it to come back in on this part by moving too far. See that? That's just one turn. So what I'll do is I'll move over a digit. Let it move. There you go. See that? And now you'll see that the part that we don't want to use is grayed out. And the part that I do want to use is not grayed out. So now I'll press Shift and I'll zoom back out. And this is the sample size I want. And the sample size I don't want, as you can see, is grayed out. That means we could get rid of that. If we truncate this sample, we'll get rid of that section. And my loop is still on. I'm going to see if this will fit. That's looping. So we're actually looping this little bass line here, which is kind of cool, right? So, if I want to keep it, I really want to name it first. So I'll press F2. And now we can name our sample. I'll call it B you press your keys to name any sample. If I want to get rid of something, let's get rid of it. Turn my data wheel till I get what you see right there, nothing. But I'll call it base 1. And that's what I want to call it, just base 1. So I get rid of all this other stuff here. I just want to call it base 1 so I know the name of it and keep the name the way I want it to be and turn the data wheel. Now, if I like it, I'll just press OK. Okay. And now the sample is called base 1. And you'll see that right here. So sample 76, base 1. See that? So sample 76 means it's the 76th sample that's in the machine right now. That sounds pretty cool. Now, okay, I've got my sample. I'm ready to go. I've got it set for truncating. I've got it set for C60. Got my loop on, and I like it. There's one more thing I want to show you right here. This is the BPM base note. This means the length of this sample and what the BPM would be. Now right there, that base note could be a quarter note, an eighth note, or whatever. I can make a quarter note. But this base note here is going to be a quarter note right there. And so, listen to the sample. I'll turn loop off. And now, we'll check out bass note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now that's approximately 8 beats. So here, I'll move the cursor down, and we're at 8. So it says here this tempo of this sample is probably 107.93 BPMs. So it's telling us the speed of this tempo, of this sample. That's the speed of the sample, the tempo of the sample. Cool. Next. Now to keep the sample, I'll just press OK, and it'll be in the memory. But before I do that, I probably want to assign this sample someplace. You know, maybe give it a pad or a place I want to store it at. I'll press F3 for quick assign. There we go. Now I can go to chop, I can go to assign to a phrase, or assign to a patch. Now, in chop, if I press chop, I can select to have this sample chopped up. It can look at the spaces between samples, in this case, right here, and select each section. And maybe this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 samples. So it'll look at the sample and say, okay, how you want to chop it. And we can set it up right here. How many chops we want to chop in there. We could say we want to have as many as we want. In this case, we have 1. That's just 1. See that? We can add a point to add more chops. We can clear the point. We can auto chop. When we look at it itself, they'll say, okay, I look at it this way. I want to chop it up that way. So we can add a point. No more chop points. See that? Nothing we could add. I can clear up. I can auto chop. I can preview the chop. And I can also assign this chop to a patch. Now here, if I had enough chops to it, it would put each little chop on a pad. Bit, 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 bit. If I had 16 chops, all 16 pads would be filled. In this case, it'll assign to that one particular pad right there. I can also preview my chop if I did that. I'll press exit to leave that mode. I'll press quick assign again. Now, I'll do assign to phrase. And now we can assign it to a phrase. I can assign it to a pad. See, all these other pads are filled. They're already pink right there. I can assign to 1. That's the first pad. Or to 2 banks. See that? So that's bank 1 is filled. I go to 2 bank. I can select any pad I want to assign it to. See that? And I can assign it to the second bank. Second pad, I'll assign that baseline right there. And that'll be an audio phrase, quick assign. So I'm assigning this sample to a particular pad on my MV8800. We can preview or execute. In this case, I'm just going to press exit. I want to show you some more. We can do quick assign. Again, and we can assign to a patch. Now in this case, we can assign to a kit. See, this is drum kit, the 808 kit. Now, assigning to a patch, we'll assign this to a bunch of different sounds. In this case, we have, as you can see here, it says drum. Turn my data wheel, that's the reggaeton kit. These are all samples that came with my MP. I can hit these notes on my MP. Hit these notes on my MV, and I'm good to go. See that? These are sounds that came with it. My next bank here is another drum kit, a synth kit, but nothing's on this kit. See, it's blank. And I have an blank patch. Now, a patch refers to a bank of sounds. And I can assign this sample and put it in its own bank and name it as a certain patch. This is my bass patch. And call it bass, blah, 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 blah. As you can see right there. But in this case, for my example, I don't need this. I'm going to press exit. What I do want to do is assign it to a pad. I want to do the assign to phrase. I'll press assign to phrase. Now, bank 1 was full. I want to go to bank 2 and put it on pad number 1. So I'll do that. I'll press execute, and now it's assigned to pad number 1. Okay, now we've already done a few things. We've sampled with our bass guitar, we did a vocal sample. Well, now we want to import some files. Now, I don't like to use the sampling output for sampling from CDs. It's one of our CDs called Off the Record from our Sample Kings collection. And what I like to do mainly is to import the sample. That way it's clean, I can normalize it, and you get no noise from the connection using like cables. We use a digital cable, or you're going to use an audio cable directly from your CD player or DVD player. So we'll load that up next. Okay, now first thing I want to do is I want to open up the CD player. I'll press this little button down here. It pops out. See that? And I'll take the CD and I'll pop it into the tray. And I'll close the CD player and we'll start. Okay, so now I've got my CD inside my MV800. Well, the next thing I want to do is I want to import the file. I probably want to find out about the file first. And there's a couple ways to do this. First, one way is to go to disk. Now when I select disk, it gives us several options. We have the file utility, the disk utility, the USB, and of course the CD player. I'll go to CD player, I'll press enter, and our CD player opens up. Now it's going to activate, recognize the tracks, and as we can see right here, we've got our tracks. So, I can, let's see, display reset the peak if I want, if it's too loud. Well, in this case, as you can see, we have several options to play on a record CD player. We have play, stop, the top of the CD, we have our track, plus track, minus track, fast forward, and rewind, which all correspond to the buttons that are on the front of our MV8800. So I'll press play. Okay. And now we're playing loops. It's the first part of this DVD we got. As you can see there, the track goes by, the time goes by, and you can see the loudness, actually, of each sample. Okay, I'll press stop, and we stop the sample. So we pick the sound we want to get, first of all. Now I might go back a little bit, so I'll say we can go back some. I'll press play. I might rewind back, see that? And now I'm at 15. Now I like that one there. That one started at 22 seconds, ended about 27 seconds on the first track. That's pretty cool. Well, look, that sounds good, looks good, but I don't want to actually use a CD player in this case. I want to import the CD. So I'll press exit. Next, we'll press import right next to sampling. And now, as you can see, got this option here. We have the import option. Now what we can do here, we can import our files. Let's see it better now. And first, let's select the drive. Now, currently, it's on the hard disk installed in our MV8800. I'll press select hard drive. And we can now select between CD, audio CD, or whatever, CD-ROM. We want to go to audio CD. We'll press select. And now it's searching those files, and it sees the track. See that? It sees every track on that CD. We can scroll down, it sees all these tracks, and sees every one of them. 55 tracks on this CD. And of course, the kilobytes for each track also. Now, we can view. You can see the song, patch, whatever. If that information is on this CD, which it isn't, it's on a CD. We can mark on or off. We can preview the track. The buffer loads. Temporary loading in a temporary buffer. And now it's listening back to the track. Now I'll press stop. No need for that. Then I can press import. Now here in import, it's pretty simple. We select the area we want to import, and then press execute. So I'll set the end time first. And I think that first one was like about 22 seconds. I'll make it 21 to make sure I'm, just be right. And then the out was about 27, I'll say 30. I can actually play this. We'll press play, as you can see here, which is F1. The buffer's loading up now. Cool. I don't want the endpoint, so now I'll adjust the out to about 27. I'll adjust the in to about 22. I'll press play, F3. Okay, that's about it. I think that's about, I'll put 20 at the end, that's good. Now, I'll press execute. And as we can see here, the sound has been loaded into our sampler section. Now we can preview it here. And we got the beginning and the end of our sample. Next, going to need to probably truncate this sample, cut it down at the beginning and the end, make sure it fits, and see if it loops, if you like it or not, so we can use it for something. You never know. So first thing to do, we're going to go to our start point. Now we're going to move it like maybe 3 digits. We'll move it 3 digits over, and then we'll turn our data wheel a little bit more. We're going to use in larger increments. We're going to go larger and larger here right up to this point. Great. And now we want to zoom in. We'll press Shift and the right cursor key, and we're zooming into the beginning of the sample. We're moving in too large. It's too large, so we want to lower the amount of increments we're moving in, so we'll move back to maybe just 2 digits. If we're moving slower, that's even better. A little blip, just see if that actually has a good sound to it or not. Okay, I'm just hitting that up and down, see if it's right. I don't know yet, so we'll keep that. I'll zoom back out, pressing Shift and the left zoom arrow. And now I'm going to move the cursor down to the point out. And I'll move it to maybe 4 digits across, so we can at least move in larger increments to get to the end of the sample. And now we'll zoom in again, and we'll go Shift and use the right. And now we're going to go all the way back into the sample again. Okay, that's too far back in. Of course, we're moving in large increments. Got to move down again. Always be aware of that. See this? Look at this. Now watch. See how it grays it out? So the part that we're not using gets grayed out, and the part that we are using maintains the color blue. So I'll move back here to larger increments to get to the end of the sample. And there at the end, and now get close to the end, I'll move in smaller increments. This is very important to know. And I'll zoom in again. So you can adjust your sample. Get where you want to have it at exactly right there. Looks good. We'll see. Let's see. We're going to move the cursor down now to the loop section. It's just loop. And I'll press preview. So it's dragging when it comes in. It's just dragging on the beginning. The beginning's probably a little off. So I'll go back to the top. It could be the end too. You never know. So we're just going to try and adjust it here. And we're going to move in small increments. Just 1 increment here. I'm going to go right to where this beat starts maybe. See that waveform is right there? We're just starting to cross the axis. Okay. I think that'll work. Okay, so I've got my beginning and my end here, and we want to see what's up. Let's press preview. So it's not really looping. See how it's just like dragging in. So I think it's because of the beginning. It's not really on. I'll show you that right now. We'll go to, we are in the top. Make sure your cursor's in start point. Next we'll press Shift and our right cursor key, and you'll see here where the waveform gets bigger at the top there. See that? This beginning part right here. Let's press preview. It's almost on it, so I'm going to move it over a little bit and see how this sounds where it's closer to the hit. Someone's cutting it off there a little too much. Let's cut to right here. A little bit dragging, a little bit. Let's try it right there. Okay, let's look at the end now. Now see that? I'm in this zoom. And the zoom I was in showed me the beginning at that point and now the end at that point. So you can go back and forth. It's much better. Much easier this way actually. And the zooms are still there. The top again. And now I want to do a little bit of more on the edge to this thing. Maybe cut it right there. I can hold it down. So you can hold it down and move the cursor and has no effect. So it's important to make sure that you do your editing, then press your cursor. So I like it right about there, really. That's good. And now we move down to the bottom here, and we have our end cut off right. Maybe want to add a little more to the edge right there where that sample dies out, and press preview. Now it says like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. What's just a 1-bar phrase? So we can see here in the bottom of this dialog box, we have the BPM bass note. Now the bass note there, I believe right now, is a 16th note. Yep, and I want to make it is, now it's just a quarter note. So, 4 beats. See that? Now, so what this says now, this is 4 beats. It says that the BPM is 102.41. That's our beats per minute. Now, go here to Shift and zoom back out. That's our entire sample. Now, I want to truncate this sample also. Well, press increase right here, and we have truncation on. And we want to normalize it too. Press normalize. Normalize, of course, will give us the maximum peak. We can raise the sample level without distorting the sample. Of course, our original key is going to be C60. The loop is on, and now I think I want to name this sample. So we'll press F2, and we can name the sample. I'll call it E beat. E. Actually, EP M D. EPMD. And here I'll just delete this stuff here. Delete, 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 delete. Okay, great. Now I'll press OK. That's the name of my beat now. It's called EPMD. I can also quick assign. So I can either chop it or assign it someplace else. Or do whatever I want to do with this sample. Right now, I think I'll just chop. So now we can actually chop this sample up into maybe a pattern. Or place it all over our MV 800 on separate pads. Okay, I'm set to go. Now I'm going to press the increase button for truncate, and I'll turn my data wheel and normalize the sample. Keep the loop on, and I'll press OK, and I'll execute that with this sample called EPMD. Processing, it's all done. Okay, after doing that, now I probably want to just save this, save your samples. Make sure you got them organized. So, I think I'll do that. So here I'll just press project. Dialog box comes back up. Let's zoom out for that. As you can see right here, we've got project there. We're going to go to save this project again, which is 4. And I'll press enter. Save current project, yes. It's always important, as I always say, to save as you do something. This way, whatever you save is being saved on the internal hard drive. There's no problem finding it, or if you tend to lose data, you can get it right back. Okay, that's pretty good. It's been saved. Okay, we got our sample. We saved the project. Next, we want to load a sample up. I'm going to show you some things you can do with a sample. We're going to chop this sucker up. Watch this. Now, you want to press your project button. You press that, and then we want to select Sample Manager. That's 8. Press our 8 key. Next, we'll press Enter. Do it. There it is in front of us. Now, we got our sample, the EPMD sample. To preview it, to check and make sure it's there, we'll press F1. It's right there. Of course, it doesn't loop because it's just in the sample manager. Now, I want to maybe chop this sample up. So we can see we have several options. We have quick assign, sample parameters, mark on or off, preview, and command. So look, we'll use quick assign. That's F1. And it says here, chop, or do I want to assign to a phrase, or assign to a patch? Well, in this case, we're just going to chop that bad boy up. We press chop, and here's a little chop shop we got right here. Now, this is how it works. If you see right here, we've got these 16 numbers in little squares. That represents the pads. So for right now, it's on pad 1. I'll press pad 1. Pad 2, nothing's there. We want to sort of chop this sample up and put them on some pads. I'll just in a simple way so you can understand it. Now my cursor is in current point. As you can see right there, it says current point, which is right over here. Right? Next, I'm going to turn the data wheel. But I want to move it in larger increments, of course, as we know from last time. And you'll see this green thing move right over there. Let me zoom in so you see a little better. Go in. And you should see it better now. Now move the cursor, turn the wheel. See, we're moving right there. I want to move right there and get this first piece here. Now I'll press shift and zoom in. As we know by now, I'm moving in 2 large increments right there. That's almost perfect right there for me. And now, I'll zoom in further. Yeah, it looks good to me. That looks perfect. I want to take this first piece from the beginning to that point there as my first point that I want to, or the first piece I want to chop and put on the pad. We'll select F1, add point. Notice that it stopped highlighting that part. It's now clear. And the rest of the sample we can see. Now press preview. That's where we are now. That's from the second beat. Now, I want to get my next chop point. Now you notice also here that it's added 2. So that's 2 now. It's 1 and the second one is 2. So it's divided into 2 samples. Next, I'm going to move the cursor again to the next point I want to go to. And see, as we leave that section we're in, it adds another one of those pink cursors for every divide point, which is here and here, where we divide the sample up or chop it up. Now I want to hear where this part's at. I don't know where this part's at all, so let me just hold it down and get an idea. That's good. So now I'm going to zoom in, get closer, see I've passed that point. You can tell by looking at the waveform where it crosses the axis. Right there at the apex. I'm going to go right back here, and we're going to move in smaller increments. See that? Turn our data wheel, and we're right there. Perfect. I like it there. So for now, I'm going to zoom back out, shift, and we're going to press add point. and we'll audition it. That's wrong. So I want to move back some. I'll move the digit over and get an idea where this point would be. I'll clear a point. See, went back to where we were before. Now I've cleared the point. Now I want to add point. Audition. Okay, we got where we want to be at now. We'll clear point. So we can keep adjusting until we find out where we want to be at. And find out exactly what point we think we should be at for our sample to fit perfectly. I'll add point. I'll press preview. Okay, we got an idea now. So that's right near where I want to be probably. So I want to zoom in. I see where I want to be. I want to be probably right, maybe right about there. Clear point. So I've cleared it. Now add point. That's right where I want it to be. See that? This is a faster way to work. Now I'll play it. That's pretty good. So now I'll zoom back out, and we've added a point, see? And now we have number 3, the third point. Now I want to get a fourth point. Let's see, you want to move the cursor again in large increments and go right to here where I believe the snare drum's at. I'll zoom in closer. It's just for our references here. See how it moves too much, too fast? You know why? Because we are moving in too large, just way too large increments. Now we need to go to small increments, slower, go to the last. And I think that snare should start right about there. I'll add a point and play it. And now we have 4 separate pieces. I'll now zoom back out. And we can see we have chopped it up into 4 separate pieces. Now if we like this and we think it's good, we can actually go to assign to patch. I'll press assign to patch. And now I have this patch here. So you can see here we have a patch that's empty, which is part 6 right there, where the cursor's at. And next I want to assign it there. Now you also notice here when it says bank, you'll see bank 1 in this particular patch. You'll see it has a keyboard here, piano roll. And here we have where this is at. It shows you the grayed out areas where those 4 samples will be played at and what pads on the MV that will trigger these samples. Okay? And now I'll press execute.